All right, hello, everybody. How we doing? Work? Nope, that didn't work. Close Discord then. Quieter there. All right. So let me make sure that audio is working, I think. Yep, the audio is working. All right. Why is it still? Why is it I closed you, Discord? Where are you? There you are. Quit Discord. There we go. Hey, Derek, Gunner, Brandon, what's up? What's up? So we're going to get ready to work on a little bit of more Klipper stuff. Hoorah! Sean, how you doing? So I kind of feel like I want to go into this first a little bit, talking about how I got to where I am. So Klipper's already on here, but it definitely took a while. So I actually reached out to Nero 3D, who is like the Klipper god and Volron person. So I reached out to him and I said, hey, you know, you've done a duet. How did you do it? Because I tried on my own for a good 2, maybe 3 hours, could not get it to work at all. So he helped me walk through the steps of putting the Duet 2 Wi-Fi into programming mode. And then from there, I was able to directly flash through Klipper instead of like pulling the bin off and putting on the SD card like you do like an SKR. The Duet's a little different, so you have to flash it directly in order to get it to work properly. So once I was able to do that and identify the serial port and everything like that, I was finally able to get that built. And then I was having issues with a lot of the movements at first. So I ended up going, instead of rotational distance, which is the new way to do it, I went back to step distance and did the calculations, and now it moves just fine. Well, we're not quite fine yet. We still have a ton of tuning to do in here. So I'm going to show you guys where I'm at so far. I grabbed a lot of my configs from Ultra Magnus, and that is able to help out quite a bit with making things a little bit faster. And I added those onto the default Duet 2 config on the Klipper site. I just grabbed that printer.config, that default file. That took care of most all of my pins, as I don't have to go searching for them, but I do have a separate window open here on the computer that has all of the, never mind, I woke it up. It has all of the pins outlined, so in case I need to set up some other pins, I can do that. Because I might need to change a few things around. Now, one thing I did like is that in Klipper, I can set this hot end temperature here to do things. There's Ryan. What's up, man? How you doing?
Pretty good. Yourself?
I'm good. But I can set a lot of the things to turn you up just a little bit. I can add a lot more with Klipper than I could have with Duet, which was kind of cool. I lose some functionality of Duet, like obviously the Wi-Fi. I'm using Wi-Fi off the Raspberry Pi, but that's not a big deal. Ryan, I was just going over some of the things that I've already done on this last night, working with Nero, who helped me out in order to at least get Klipper installed, because that took quite a while to get going.
Bite me, Gunner.
But so in here, I actually went ahead and took, because I didn't feel like waiting, because I'm very impatient, I ended up grabbing my Raspberry Pi 4 that I had my RetroPie on, which we have not used in a long time. And since we're not using it, I might as well just use the Pi for something else. So this is running a Raspberry Pi 4 2 gig model, because those are cheaper. The 4 gig models are like stupid expensive on Amazon. But I do have links for any of that stuff, and the Klipper documentation, the configuration, resources that I use. Like Nero had sent me the how to, well, actually I didn't, he sent me it. I found it on his channel. He has a complete video just on how to do the PanelDue, how to get that working. So that's a completely separate video that he did. I followed that step by step, was able to get this screen working as well, which is great. I just have to arrange like macros and things like that, kind of to figure that stuff out. But that's easy enough to do, and you do that all in Moonraker. Do you have a Duet, Ryan?
I just got one yesterday.
Oh, okay. You got the Duet 2 Wi-Fi?
It's the Ethernet. but I'm gonna convert it over to Wi-Fi.
Ah, okay. And if you do hear a printer going in the background, so Megatron is going burr right now because he is doing the input shaper test at 100 millimeters a second. So he is flying right now.
I did get a PanelDue too. I was gonna try out, see if I can't get that logo to work on mine.
You got the 5-inch?
Yeah.
Okay, so Jared is also potentially joining us. He may have hit a bit of a speed bump at home, so he might not be able to join. Oh, the one other thing I want to mention. So I am actually running this Raspberry Pi 4 off of my 12-volt power supply with a little DC to DC buck converter. Running it by itself seems to be doing okay. It says it can do upwards of 3 to 5 amps, but says you need to put a heatsink on it. But since my chamber is actively cooled, I don't think I'm going to need to put a heatsink on it. But I do have some heatsinks coming in. I might actually have some computer ones downstairs somewhere that I can just throw a little heatsink on the MOSFET. But it seems to be working just fine. And I wanted to use the power input on this because I have the space in the back. So I just hacked a little short 6-inch USB-C cable, hacked off the Type A connector, spliced it off, put it onto the DC-DC converter, and that worked out just fine. So
I was surprised to see you converting this over so soon.
well, I kind of just wanted to do it and get it done because again, now that I can manage everything from one interface, it's really nice. I like it a lot for that fact. We're gonna share my screen here. We're gonna switch, there we go. Okay, so this is Megatron printing right now, printing at 100 millimeters a second. That's what's requested, but it's pretty close to that because I set everything in the slicer to 100 millimeters a second for the input shaper. So it's going to be pretty close to that. So the thing I like about also with Fluid, I mean, I guess, what's the other one called?
Mainsail.
also has like multiple printers you can do, but I like the fact that I can just go right here. Teletron is the little Raspberry Pi Zero that I'm using as a host, and that is what I'm connected to up here. So we're just going to go down here to Bumblebee, and here is that. So I do need to refresh. The heaters right here, they end up doubling. I was talking to Cadriel. He is the developer of Fluid, and he said that he is currently rewriting the thermal graphs, and he should be able to squish that bug. We'll see if he ends up doing it, but it's going to scale better because right now it's on a 0 to 300 scale, but it should only be like 60C for as like the max. But he is rewriting this entire thermal graph section, and he said it should be much better when he's done. So okay, so we're gonna go. So what do we? Moonraker needs an update. Well, let's do that real quick. Moonraker updates are super fast, and the OS packages take forever, so we're gonna wait on that. But we're gonna go here to printer. As you can see, I already have the filament sensor there. The end stops are already there, and I added a lot in here. So this is arranged a little differently than how I have Megatron and Master Crane, or Megatron and Ultra Magnus, just because these have the steppers together, kind of like how Aaron likes to arrange his. That is the default for this, and it says here the Duet to Ethernet Wi-Fi. So this is actually the same config, Ryan. If you're going to put Klipper on yours, this is the exact same config that you'll use because it's the same for both of them. They have the same pinout.
Okay.
Because they're both Duet 2s. So I went ahead last night and you see here I put step distance because again, the rotational distance just wasn't working for me for some reason. I don't know why, but it just wasn't. And then the other thing that was not set in here was homing speed and position max. So position min, I'm sorry. So I went ahead and added position min. That matches the position end stop of where that's at. My only thing is that this homes in a weird way, and I don't know if it's right or not. But basically, I want it to home to back left, and it thinks that the front left corner here is 0, 0, which I guess is right.
That would be right.
Different in Klipper. because I have to set the Y, the position end stop, to 335 to the back corner, so it knows to home that direction. Because when I tell it that it's 0, the back corner is not 0. The front corner is 0. So that is the one oddity that's different than trying to configure Marlin, is that you have to set it a little bit differently. And then, so I set all of those. You better try, Gunner. So then here I have the end stop. So because I'm using the BL Touch, I have the Probe Z Virtual end stop already set. So I pulled that over from, Megatron and Ultra Magnus. I have it the same way for those, except we are using actual end stops with this one. This is the first printer I'm using actual end stops on. So the end stop pin is defined here instead of being end stop virtual TMC 2209 for sensorless homing. I set homing speed in there. And then I also changed out, here's all the extruder stuff. I have not done PID tuning yet. That is something we'll eventually do. But the nozzle is in there. It's a 0.6 millimeter nozzle. I went ahead and set the extruder 1 to stepper Z1. It goes really fast. The printer's just playing right now. So I set it all here to stepper Z1, so because we have Z on the left, Z1 on the right. So those are defined, and they both are on their own stepper driver, the same as you would in like an SKR. You have to do that if you want to be able to do Z tilt. If you have a third Z stepper, you would have stepper Z2. You'd have a different board, though. You have an expansion board. But you'd have stepper Z2 as your back Z motor, and that way you can have the 3-axis homing for the Z, which is preferred on bigger beds, but I do not have the space to do that because I put a bigger bed on here. I'm kind of, I'm not regretting it, but I'm not really happy I did it. But I guess it is what it is at this point. Heater bed is defined, and then fan. So this is the pin for fan 0, and fan 0 is the part cooling fan. And where is my... so this is the pinout table that I was using to find everything. So if I'm like, oh, I want to do, I need to, I'm looking at the back of the board to see where it's plugged in at. Going here as a table. This is the Duet tables are pretty dirty, to be honest.
What's the link for that?
I will send it to you. Actually, let me just add it to gonna add it. I added it real quick to the video description. Oh, that didn't work. I'll do it later then. Where is the private chat? There you go. But it's on the Duet Dozuki site. So, oh, Mike, the PanelDue is working, man. If you actually look down the video description, Mike, there is a video from Nero. He walks you through exactly how to do it. It's like a 10-minute video. It takes no time at all, and it works for me first try. So it was very.
And if Shane can do it first try, anybody can.
Yeah. The only thing I had to do was switch the TX and RX pins of my cable. Because all you do is you unplug it from the PanelDue port on the Duet 2. You flip TX and RX, and you plug it straight into the Raspberry Pi. That's it. So it was very easy to do. So this is a good resource. And then, Ryan, you also need this for your where to hook everything up to. It's just a lot easier to see where everything is. But I've been going back and forth between these two files a lot. And then for me, the wiring diagram for the BLV. I've had these tabs open for months in this window because it's just all I've been using as a reference. Hey, Aaron, going all right. We're just kind of going through what I've already done here.
I'm not talking to Aaron right now.
You what?
I'm not talking to Aaron right now.
Oh, what do you do now?
He's mean, talking bad stuff about deltas.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, deltas are deltas. So I've already done so BL Touch requires a sensor pin and a control pin. So that was the difference that I had to do from the probe, because before we just had just a sensor pin for if you're using inductive or capacitive probe, whatever you're using, you just have that. But here you also have a control pin. By setting the two of those, the BL Touch worked not like it was piece of cake. There was no difference whatsoever. So I took everything else here was the same. Whoop, go back. Dang it. I hate when I do that. Hit Control Z and it takes everything else. But yeah, so the probe is already set. It homes properly. All that works, so no issues there. Hey Wolfgang, how you doing?
Why isn't Aaron on stream?
I think he had some stuff going on tonight as well. Then the filament sensor, this also worked right off the bat. I did have to invert it, but I just had to I just went to found out where I'm plugged into on the Duet board. I went into that big table and then set that up. So Mech asking, why am I not going with the IR probe? The IR probe does not fit with the Volcano hot end. I would have had to modify the mount to make it work, and I didn't feel like doing it. So I decided I was using an inductive probe for a little while, but I was getting too much variance in it because of the different sheets. So I decided to switch to BL Touch to have a little more consistency with the bed levels. The inductive probe should have worked, but I was just having too many issues with it, so I decided to take it off. This is all the same from Megatron and Ultra Magnus, same as those. Again, only thing I changed was the switch pin. The park macro, though, I do need to change this now because X, we're just going to change it to 0 because my X min is -4. So that's just off of there. And then Y, that can be 0. So that'll park it right here in the front left of the printer. And it's going to raise Z up by 30. So that's good. And then, yeah, it's going to retract a little bit. That's fine. Okay, so this is the one that I have only started to toil with a little bit. So Z tilt does work, but I have not touched the bed mesh yet. So I need to figure this one out. According to tests in the Railcore group, the IR probe is not as good as the BL Touch. I mean, the IR probe is very cheap little probe. I mean, honestly, I think it's like pennies to get one. I just kind of worry. I just didn't trust it, so I didn't use it. Give me 1 second. I need to switch out my batteries because I know mine's getting low.
That IR probe, that's like an open PCB design too, isn't it? Which would make it look less finished.
Can you hear me now?
Can hear you.
Okay, yeah, it is. I have it here somewhere, I think, still in my BLV bin. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, so this is it right here. That's the little inductive the little IR probe.
Yeah, I think that would look ugly on that printer.
Well, you can't see it because it's designed, again, which is why I would have to redesign it. It's designed to go underneath this front shroud and connect to the 4010 fan mount that's in there. And so you really can't see it. You just see like a very little bit of it. But again, with the Volcano hot end, the block is way bigger, so it's in the way. So that's why I did not use it.
Gotcha.
Wolfgang said his never worked. Okay, where was I here? Okay, yeah, so we need to figure out the bed mesh. So I know my minimum is what to do. Oh, I think the Z tilt. No, the Z position is right. I did that part. I need to figure out the mesh. Yeah, the IRPEI invisible spring steel sheet bed reflects too much. Yeah, so I'm using the this is a double-sided flex sheet, and one side is textured, the other side is a PEI sheet.
Gunner's trying to start stuff in Facebook groups.
Yeah, food safe PLA. That was a big thing back in like what 2017. You know Japman?
Yeah.
He was like the big one against that. He's like, everyone's like, oh, like it says food grade, food safe, like Maker Geeks. They were the one that said that they had food safe PLA. And he's like, no, it doesn't work that way because you don't have a food safe printer. Like if you don't have a food safe printer, you can't have food safe PLA. Like just because PLA is prepared in a food safe way doesn't mean the printer is food safe. So like he got all up arms about that with people. It was hilarious. But that was a long time ago. Okay, bed mesh.
Whatever happened to him? I haven't seen him in forever.
He's on Twitter still. It's about it though. No, you have to plug it straight in. Here, you can use this. Sorry, one second.
You like doing the clone ultimakers.
Just plug it in, it'll work. Holy heck. Megatron is still going, but holy crap, is he just shaking like hell. All right, so we need to find X-min, Y-min, and the maxes. And we want to keep this as even on both sides as we can, right?
Yeah.
So that means for X, it's going to be meg 44, and then, or no, sorry. It's going to be 1 and 238. And I know that puts the probe at the same location on the left as it does on the right with that. And then with Y, we don't quite want 0, so we're just going to call that 10. And then
Aaron was also wondering if you could show us how you set up Teletron after you're done with this.
Yes, I can do that. Once you get it working, you show us how to set up Teletron. Everything is installed on the Rock 64, but I'm not sure how to get it working for standalone. So yeah, we can do that as soon as I finish doing this. We'll try a G29, and I can go through that. Will I upload my config later for reference later on? Ollie, yes. So I already added both Megatron and Ultra Magnus Klipper config files to my GitHub. If you just look for Fuginator on GitHub, you'll find me. But I will, at the end of the stream, link it down below if you guys want to see that. But I will add the BLV / this is Bumblebee. I will add that to that config as well. So I guess I do need to put in there the actual printers that those are, because if you don't watch my streams, you don't know the names of the printers. I'm just thinking about that now. So
I would just say like an i3 style.
Yeah, I mean Megatron is just a standard i3 Bear 2020 Bear style. Ultra Magnus is the ANET A8 Plus. So it works for that, doing that big full upgrade. I also probably put links in there for like the videos and things like that, and the 3D printed files So I mean, I just uploaded the configs for now, but I need to add some more like data to the README file on those GitHubs. What did I set? I set 335 on Y. So we'll do 325 then. We'll come in 10. Where's I at? Here we are. So this will be 325 on Y as the max there. Oh, cool, Aaron. I just put my config file on my GitHub for it. So we're going to do, what was the thing here for the, if I want to change it to be more, well, I'll do 5x5 for now. I guess that's fine. Fade start, fade end, the split Z, it does 3 check by cubic, and it's 12. That's fine. Okay.
See, I never really understood the relative reference index, even when he tried describing it.
I forget. Yeah, I mean, if Jared was here, he could describe it again. I don't think he's going to make it, or Kennedy can describe it too. But I just been leaving it at that because that's what it was for this 5x5 grid is 12. Yeah, I think it has to deal with the number of them, and then you subtract a certain amount that gives you the relative reference index, something like that. I don't know.
Aaron said it is the middle point.
Oh, it's the middle. Oh, okay. Interesting. Oh, okay. And then we have Z tilt again. That's already done. So print start. This is from Ultra Magnus, so this should work just fine. It should. Let's see if is he skipping yet? Nope. Oh yeah, he's starting to skip now. All right, let me stop. I'm gonna save and close. Let me switch over to Megatron real quick and stop the print. Pause. I don't want to pause. Get the hot end off of there. Okay, so back to Bumblebee. Sorry about that. Printer config. Okay. So we were down here at, so G29 is done, G32 is done, print start. This should be fine. Oh, sorry, I can turn mine up a little bit. I think I can. Let me know if that's any better for you. Please watch out settings and slicers that are not compatible with Klipper. Okay, I'm not sure what you're talking about, but everything I'm using, I've already used in ProSlicer before, so I know all of this stuff works. Print end. Park the nozzle at the rear. Okay, we're going to change this to, yeah, 300 is fine, I guess. Exit 10, that's fine. Okay, I'm going to have it go to the middle. So I'm going to have this go to 155. So that'll just put the nozzle in the middle and then take it all the way to the back.
Wolfgang, it's a lot easier than RepRap.
I would say it is because it uses all standard G code. It doesn't use any of the crazy extras that RepRap uses. So this is all standard G code. So if you're familiar with regular old G code and Marlin, setting this up, once I understand it, it's a lot. Like this almost looks like gibberish, but now
once you start looking through it, it's
Yeah, I am understanding it a lot more now than I did in the beginning. So print end is fine. Pause. Okay, so if we're gonna pause it, I'm gonna go to 10, 10, up 10, which is
I
fine.
am Batman Gunner.
It's just gonna bring it to right here. Yeah, I don't think it's easier. I just think it's more familiar. You know, the hard part is that Klipper is a literal blank slate. You can download the initial config, and that's it. You really have to do some research to find all of these separate macros that we're going through now that I've done. You have to go find these or make them yourself. So
Yeah, I think
that's
that
kind of,
that's the biggest issue with Klipper is they didn't do a very good job bringing everything together, all the information together.
yeah. And I think that's something that what's his name, Mark or Kevin, right? Kevin is the
Kevin.
designer or things like that. So yeah. Let's see here. And then resume. That's fine. Don't need to change any of that.
Raymond is doing Mainsail OS.
Okay. Cancel print. All right. Load filament. Oh, I didn't do that on the extruder, did I? I think I need to put in the max.
MetU did Mainsail. I don't know what his actual name is.
Okay. I need to find my other printer config because I don't have the max extruder distance set in here. We have that set to 200. I'm going to do 250 just because this is a little bit of a longer setup. It's direct drive, but like there is a space between the hot end and the extruder. So give myself a little bit of extra space. And when I go to my unload filament, I'm going to set this to 200. 2,200.
Great. I'm not saying they did a bad job. I'm just saying they could have. Well, like when I was learning this, everything was all spread out. You had to pretty much search for what you wanted.
I don't think that statement is good. Klipper can't be the same for every printer. So how do they not do a good job? So it's more of the Klipper is very different, but I do think that the default configurations could have more in them, like an unload macro, a load macro, the cancel macro, and stuff like that. That all should be in there.
Yeah, they could have all this stuff in there already and just have it commented out and just comment what
I
you
mean,
want.
you could just point like right here. You just do set your extruder temp. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you call it a day with that. Like you could do those. Or sorry, it's going to be this. Um, Things like that. Like I could set my extrude temp to whatever I want it to be. You know, you could make them generic enough. Well, not many people are using Discord, so I can say that. And then, okay, so load filament. We go move the bed down 15 because this. Otherwise, I move my gantry up 15. Here, the bed is what moves. The bed moves down 15. Puts out some filament, resets the extrusion distance, and then we do G91 so that we can move. My only issue is that when I do load filament, it requires you to home. So we're going to go ahead and just add that in right now because you
Why
get an
does it
error.
require you to home?
I don't know, because even though I'm trying to do a relative move, it won't do it unless I home the printer.
Which is odd because the extruder doesn't have an end stop.
But it's just because I'm telling it to move the, and if the Klipper
Oh,
has to be
I
homed.
gotcha.
That is the one thing we talked about in the Discord. Klipper must always be homed for it to do something. So I've had to add G28 to a bunch of my macros in order to make it happy. So it kind of is what it is. But that should be good for load and unload filaments there. Now we have the M600. So I'm going to put X. Let's move it a little closer. Let's just do it at 10. And then Y, I'm going to have Y at 0. I want that to come all the way to the front as possible. And then Z is going to move by 20. And then all of this should be the same for it. That all should work. C was resisted, making it possible to move X, Y, and Z without a home. Yes, Mike, you're right. So I actually recently saw that in the Klipper Discord. Someone was asking about they were doing a feature request to move it, and the devs don't want to do it because there is the possibility of crashing your printer, and they do not want that to happen. So that is why they have it coded the way it is. You need to check though. I think there's a few things here that are a little bit different than what I have. And here I have, this is Ultra Magnus's config. So I kind of just want to just verify that some of I have all of the different settings here that I need to have. So homing retract distance right here, this is only needed for sensorless homing. So I don't need to worry about that. And again, here's the virtual end stop if you're doing the sensorless homing, again, part of that. I'm more worried about that I missed something in extruder. So we have the pins, direction pins, step, nozzle diameter, filament diameter, heater pin, sensor, control is set, min temp, max temp, extruder distance, pressure advance. I've not done yet, obviously, so I can't set that until I figure that out.
Can those steppers do pressure advance?
Pretty sure they can.
I know they have issues with 2208s doing it.
I don't even know if I'm going to do it because from what I've been reading is that like some people swear by it, some people are like it's fine. Like it's like linear advance. Like Dustin, buddy of mine who's in the Discord, we went to college together. He was doing linear advance on the Ender 3 and having like he's like it's so loud, like it's so annoying. I was like then turn it off. You're not going to see a benefit of linear advance on an Ender 3. You're not. Like I don't care what anybody says. You're not going to see the advance of that. You're not printing fast enough. It's not an accurate enough printer to really take advantage of linear advance. So that's why I'm not terribly worried about it.
I could see on a Delta.
Yeah, on a Delta, but even he has the monoprice mini Delta, and it does not need that. Like a bigger Delta, like a Costal, a full size Costal, yeah, maybe, but I mean, so this is the one thing that I did find the difference here is that I have the heater fan here, which I really like, and I could do right here for that. My only problem is that right now I'm running a 12-volt fan. So what I don't know is, can I have the pin output to a step-down converter? Would that work? Or don't you know?
I don't know.
So that's the question out to the people's watching. Can I put a step down converter, so from 24 to 12 volts, onto pins and make it work? Because if it does, then I will set up this nozzle, this extruder fan, because it's on all the time. It's not loud because it is the sun on, but so you're saying yes, I can. Okay.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense you'd be able to.
I just wasn't quite sure if it would be. So, Millen, go ahead and ask your question, man. Well, I can't have it on all the time because I only want it to run when the extruder heats up above 50. I mean, is it really PWM? Because all it is it's adjusting the voltage.
Well, as far as I know is PWM is still giving your full voltage. It's just giving it to you less time between each time it gives it to it. Because it's pulses of the 24 volt or 12 volt. So if you're not running the right voltage fan to it, it could still burn your fan out.
Well, yeah, but I was saying it's only going to be on or off. It's either on full blast. That's why it's on here as fan speed is 1.0. So
I would say
full blast or not.
I would say there would be no problem with a converter running on there.
Okay. I mean, if it blows the fan out, I've got more.
If it's running the right voltage to it, I don't see why it would blow the fan out.
Yeah, Millen, what's your issue with Crowdy? I personally just don't recommend them because I think they're crappy, cheap China printers. I mean, they're not crappy; they're just cheap China printers. I mean, if that's all you can get, then great. But I think there's a lot of other great options out there aside than a Crowdy printer. Putting roll into our step down. Okay, yeah. So it's not PWM at all, Mike. It is just on or off because again, I have fan speed set to 1.0. So I can copy this then here. We can do here. So copy that, and then we can put it right there. We can enable this, and this goes to fan 1. So I put the back panel on. I'll do it after this because I don't want to take the back panel off right now. And then I just need to put one of the Duet. They're awesome. That is one thing Duet does great. Is their JST connectors are fantastic, and their pins are great too. Even for the clone, these are really good. So I'm really digging those, but I'm going to put that on it because right now it's just going into the split out from 12 volt. Okay, that's good. If we can get that to work, that'll be awesome. Back here to the config real quick. Schematics as Core XY versus Cartesian. Max Velocity, Max Excel, the Max Z Excel, and this stuff. I need to copy this because that is not in there. Or actually, Max Z Excel is. But the Excel to D cell really doesn't matter right now. We're going to tune that in later. But there you go. Oh, you're right. You're right. That is in there. Where's that? Yeah, here it is. So he has it.
It's just like you wanted. You're gonna do it.
Yeah. So 12 volt down to there. Now that's interesting. Now, see, I can't do that because my other fans are 24 volts. This changes it for all the fan headers. I needed to change just on one header. So I can't do this.
If you run it from your actual fan header that you want to run the fan off, that should work.
No, but these headers right here that you're running the 12-volt positive to, that
No, I'm
changes it
saying
for
if you
all
run
the
the,
fan headers.
I'm saying if you just run the buck converter to your
Oh,
original
I'm going to
fan
put it right
header.
here. I'm going to put it right here in the middle between the pin that's going to go from the pin's going to be the input into the buck. The buck output is going to be to the fan.
Yeah.
That's
That
how I'm
should
going to
work
do
just
that.
fine. I don't see how it would be any difference. It's just you're pulling it from a different place.
Yeah. So let me check here. Millen, what's he saying? So cross out the problem. The problem is with the. Oh, Millen, I don't know about that. I don't know if you order directly from Crowdy, being who you are. Like, I don't know.
Are you a American male? She's not gonna like you.
Again, you could try it with her. You could try it on their Twitter to reach out to them again. I'm not sure how you bought them or where you bought them from. So that could be part of the thing there. And then one last thing that I did find recently is that you can the Pi CPU temperature to your graph.
Yeah, I seen that. I put that in all of mine now. After I seen that.
So we're now that we should be good to go, we're gonna save and restart, and everything here should be peachy. Looks like it. Everything's looking okay here. Yeah, you can see right here we have the heater, bed, the Pi, and the extruder all showed up in this graph. I wouldn't mind multiple graphs though. So the other thing that
well, it even says the Pi CPU temp in your thermals too.
Yeah, right here. Yeah, you can see it down here or up there. And it's also, if you highlight it, gives you a min max. So with the printer not running, my high is 38. When the printer is running, I get up to I think about 48C on the CPU. I think that was this one, or is that Megatron that was running that warm? Yeah, Megatron runs that warm because Megatron does not have active cooling or heat sinks on it, I don't think. But I did order some more heat sinks for it. But yeah, that one runs a lot warmer, but you can tell just the difference between an actively cooled chamber and a non-cooled chamber. This is 10C lower, and this is a Pi 4. So it's more powerful, and it runs cooler with just that heatsink on it and an actively cooled chamber. Because I can put my hand up here, and I can feel the air coming up through the back chamber. Like those fans down below really do work well. So overheating this machine is definitely not going to be a thing. All right, so before I go anywhere else, let's address what Aaron was asking on how I'm running Teletran. So Teletran is right here. So let's switch to here. So this is Teletran right here. This is a Raspberry Pi Zero that is hooked up into a powered USB hub on my wall. And actually, for now, I just have this sitting right here beside my computer. I'm going to mount it later, but for right now, it works right there. And all I did with that is install Klipper and then kind of, actually, you're not even looking at the screen because I changed it. There it is. So all I did was install Klipper on it and then boot it. There, update it the same way. So this is Teletran 1. All of his updates are right here that I can update it the same as I would any of the other printers. Ultra Magnus shows up as fluid because that printer's offline. And it does not cache the custom name that you put in the UI. It just defaults it back to fluid. So that's how you kind of know which printer is not online. But then from there, that's all I did is I just went into here, I hit add another printer, added it to it, and I just go to teletran.local, and that's all it is for that. So if you have a printer config in there for this, this host Klipper instance, I would take that out because the error up in Clippy does not matter whatsoever. Everything that you see right here, none of this really matters because you're not using any of that. You're only using this as a host, a gateway to all your other printers because this is online all the time. I'm never going to shut Teletran off. but I'm going to shut down Megatron, Ultra Magnus, Bumblebee. All of those will get shut down at one point, and everyone except for Megatron has the Pi directly powered off the printer. Megatron may or may not go that route. I don't know yet. I haven't decided. I'm looking at some few options, kind of like this deal right here. Aaron bought one. He was going to tell me how it worked, but has not told me yet. But that is how I'm running a $10 host for all my printers. You know, as you can't really call it a server. It's just a web host, I guess. But I also do name all of my instances the same name as the printer because I have so many. If you only have one printer, having it called fluidpi.local is fine. That personally bugs me because why not name it your printer? Like, printers should have names. I don't think they should not have a name. But you see here's the bug in the thermal graph. See how it's all doubled? So that is when you switch back and forth between printers, that is a current bug that Cadriel is working on to get that out. Where is it asking for the API URL, Aaron? Because again, when I go here, I don't have anything except for Moonraker, client, macros, and client. That's it. Honestly, client macros, I could delete this. API URL. It's you just put in right here the API URL. You just put in the host name of your other printers, and that just adds them here to the list.
I gotta take off for now.
All right, Ryan, I'll catch you later.
Yep.
Yeah, Aaron, you just add in there, just add the host name .local of your other instances. That's all you have to do. You know, I update all of this just so it's updated. It really honestly doesn't need to be either. But you know, you could use the fluidpi or app.fluidpi.xyz or fluidpi.app.xyz. You could use that, but it does cache it. But if your internet goes down, you can't get to it. At least for me, if my internet goes down, which it does, you know, I don't have great internet, and when I move, it's going to be even worse. I want to be sure that I can access all my printers on my local network because as long as I have power and my Wi-Fi is up, I can access anything. Well, the one thing that Mike that I like with Mainsail better is Mainsail has a separate where it's like up here, it's like an instances. And I kind of want to ask Cadro if he can make something like that because I don't mind going over here, but I would love to go to like instances or printers or because right here it's labeled as printers. Have another big tab up here for printers and have them each be a square up there. I think that would be cool. Mainsail also has G-code viewer where Fluid does not. So with Mainsail, when you actually go to, let me go to a printer that has stuff on it. So if I go to Megatron, I go to jobs, right here, it actually would show you a little picture of what the G code is, just like how the Prusa Mini does when you put in a new thing, it's right there. So that's, that would be cool to have on here as well, but that's a Mainsail thing. Yeah, so that is Gunner. That is 100% why I made this change, because I don't want any one of my custom printers. I think I'm going to switch over to Klipper. So every one that I am running. So I think we're going to do Master Crane here. I think Master Crane will get Klipper as well on it. I think it'll actually end up running better and a little bit easier. But having only one printer running Duet Wi-Fi control or Duet web control, sorry, on that interface, running a totally different system is a little more difficult to manage that whole environment and then manage a whole Klipper environment and then manage a whole Marlin environment for all these as well. So that's kind of why I'm I'm getting a little bit away from Marlin just because for me, on all the printers that I'm going to keep, so all of my custom printers. So for those not familiar with the different printers I have, so it's very this StreamYard's kind of sucks. But Ultra Magnus is an i3 style. It's a little bit bigger than a Mark 3S. I have the ANET A Plus, which is Ultra Magnus. Then I have the BLV MGN Cube. It's a Core XY, which is named Bumblebee. And then I have my other Bear, which is right back here. I'm probably going to convert that to Klipper. That I have to wait for Pis to come in because I don't have any more Raspberry Pis for that. And I need to print out a new enclosure for the bottom. But that is probably also going to get it. I am running Chris Warkaki's firmware on there, which is good. But again, this has just been so much easier to slice and do everything, right here on my computer. Do this way, that way. Okay. It's been so much easier to just slice everything on here, hit the little G go button, and it sends it to the printer, and it's off printing. I do lose a ton of functionality at the actual LCD for the printer, but that's not bothering me right now so far. Yes, Mike, StreamYard does have high resolution if you pay for it. But if you don't know, I'm cheap and I hardly ever use this. I really only use it when other people are going to hop on with me, which is not very often. I did this tonight because Jared, who is a huge Klipper person, I believe he's also big in the Volron community. He is also buddies with Eddie the Engineer, who's now on the Discord, and like having Cadro around. So I was doing this in case, and Kennedy, he has class tonight because he's still in college. But those are the big Klipper Volron guys that are familiar with this stuff. And I was like, hey, if I'm going to do this, why don't you guys come hop on with me if you have time? Again, it just didn't work out with them, so that's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and let's go back to Bumblebee here. We're going to home all. Make sure this all works properly. So there's X homes, and again, Y homes to the back. So Y is technically homing to Y max, and X is homing to X min, technically. It goes to the center, drops the BL touch probe, probes once, goes down, probes a second time, and then finishes. Greg, have I looked into Klipper Screen? I have not. The only thing I've done is the PanelDue, which is to get that functional on here. So this now works, but I have not looked into Klipper Screen yet. So now we're going to go ahead and run G29, which does not work. Okay, out of range, -49. Why is -49 in there? Did my settings not save? Oh, because that's 50. So let's change this to 51. See if that works. This first. Okay, so it's home all again. But Greg, I will look into Klipper Screen tonight. I think maybe after the stream is over, I will do some research onto that and see what that is about. Yeah, if OBS could do like multi-person connections, I think that'd be pretty cool. Now let's do G29. My hand over the emergency stop button. The issue is that it homes it brings it up pretty fast. And I do wish it was a little bit slower, but I have not found a way to change that setting. You can change the movement speed of G29, but you cannot change the Z-axis speed. But if anybody knows how to change that, I would love to be able to change it. I did look at the G29 and Z-tilt G code. Oh wow, that is like way short. So we're gonna get a very little window here. We're gonna have to move that way down. Because it is taking into effect the offset, which again is, that's kind of why we do testing. I'd rather be on the bed for the first bed level test than off the bed. Because then I need to run G29 again, or 32 to readjust the Z again. And I do have Z tilts on all my printers now running Klipper. Even with Marlin 2.0 now, I have all of that changed on the to do Z tilt adjust before it does any print. Yes, PanelDue does work when Klipper on the Raspberry Pi input-output pins. So again, if you go down in the video description, I linked Nero 3D's video on how to get the PanelDue screen working with Klipper. So if you want to check that out, go check out his video. Again, it's a few minutes long. I think it's less than 10 minutes, and it definitely works out. There's Jared. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on?
How you doing?
Doing good. Sorry for the delay.
No worries. So on Z homing and Stepper Z, check that out. So I'm just finished getting everything, I think, configured. My mesh grid is not correct, so I definitely need to change that up. Everything going all right with you?
Yeah, everything's going good. Just got some dinner down, and the wife was gracious enough to let me to jump on with her not feeling well today, so I'm good.
That does hit in the back. We do need to make that a little bit more forward. So let's go to config. So I need to adjust the bed mesh a little bit. Where's that at? Right here. So it's taking into account the 50. So we can set this all the way up to 340, and that should be fine. We need to make this 320. So it's a little too far in the back.
We doing some Klipper configuration?
Yeah. So I was just changing up the bed mesh here. Let's save and close. So that's not horrendous. 0.3 difference on a cold bed. So the one thing that maybe you would know this. So are you used BL Touch before, right?
Yes, I have.
Now, being that I'm on a textured sheet, if it hits a high point on the texture, it's going to throw that off. And if it hits a low point on the texture, it's going to throw that off too.
Yep, that is
Right.
entirely accurate, because the BL Touch is a physical probe. It doesn't know that, where the underlying sheet is. It just knows what the topography of the plate is.
Now, granted, the coding on this is pretty fine. It's not like the FISEC, which is like super duper like highs and lows on it. Like that is a very big difference. I would never use a physical probe on the FISEC textured sheets. So let's go ahead and, but yeah, we can see it's only probing that bit of the bed.
Is that an Alti-stick or Alti-stick?
No, this is the energetic.
Gotcha. Okay, same page.
Yeah, I mean it's where TH3D and what's his name, Wham Bam get their beds from. They both get it made from him.
Yeah, I've actually got a Wham Bam on my my Boron.
So I'm gonna go ahead and reboot that real quick. Oh, I didn't want to do that one. Energetic, that's it. Yeah, I can never remember the name. Drives me crazy.
Yeah, Energetic's kind of I don't know if they're an OEM or what, but they supply a lot of people with like PEI sheets and beds and all the rest.
Yeah, I am surprised though that Fisex is not using them. They are using someone else. They are more like Altistick, because Altistick also isn't Altistick also have very big texture to it.
No, actually, Ultistick is a very, very fine texture.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of the other printers that might actually use that, but off the top of my head, I can't think of any.
Okay, so it's Homo again. Oh, that's what I wanted to change. So Mike was saying I can change the Z home speed,
Yeah,
which is
you
not
absolutely can.
set. So I can, that's just homing speed underscore, right?
I'm actually looking at my settings right now. Yeah, so homing underscore speed colon and then the actual speed on it. There's
What do you
also
have
a
yours
couple.
set to?
Say that again.
What do you have yours set to for homing speed?
I set mine to 20. That's also on a Voron 2 with 4 corners, so I don't know how that's going to correlate specifically, but it shouldn't be too bad.
I would just
And
like
then
it to be a little bit slower.
Yeah. There's also a couple other parameters. You can adjust the second homing speed and the total retract distance for like the second touch.
For the second touch, you can?
Yeah. So the second homing speed and the retract distance are both parameters you can add as well. I'll post them in the chat real quick. There you go. I don't know why it just took the space out of those two, but second homing speed I have set to 3, and then retract distance of 2.0. It just retracts at 2 millimeters before it comes back up.
Okay, let me try that here. So second homing speed and 3.
There's an O in that speed.
30.
Nope.
3.0.
3.0.
Oh, okay.
But you also put an O in speed. Second homing spoed.
Oh, okay. Spoed.
Won't get you very far. Klipper at least tell you what you did wrong, but
Homing back distance. Now, what does that one do?
so for the second, like the probe section of it, it's how far up it pulls the Z before it goes down to probe again. So in this case, it'll pull it up. It'll do the initial, and then it'll go up 2 millimeters, and then it'll come down at 3 instead of 20.
Okay. Yeah, because I have mine set to 5 for the horizontal move Z. I have that set to 5 in the bed mesh.
So that's how quickly it moves between mesh points.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I understand. I understand the difference.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other kind of oh, you'll need more than 2 millimeter retract for BL Touch.
Yes, you will for BL Touch.
Okay,
That
so
is
we should probably do 5 should be enough, right?
I would try doing something like 7 just for the first one because that probe is pretty long.
Okay.
Worst case scenario, it should just stay triggered if it doesn't have enough space, in which case it would throw an error.
And then just reset it.
Exactly.
Are there any other random settings that you know of? So the one issue I did have, so I ended up, again, I hooked up with Nero last night, and I could not get the other distance, the new version, to work.
Yeah, so that's actually fairly easy once you kind of know what you're doing with it.
Yeah.
So you're using UART, you got run current, sense resistor, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so let me take a look. I can actually copy and paste out of mine if it'll make it easier. The only thing is,
just, there is in StreamYard, there is a private chat. If you post in there, I can copy and paste. I can't copy and paste from the general chat.
Perfect. So the only thing that I don't know, so your step distance, I'm assuming your step distance is correct?
Yes, because it's 200 in Marlin. So I just converted that 200 divided by 1 and got this.
So it's 200 steps per millimeter. That's interesting. Okay. So I'm going to have to figure out exactly how that correlates. It'd be nice if Eddie was in chat. I could just have him do my math for me.
Ping him. I thought about pinging him, but I don't know him well enough, and you and I have been chatting, so.
Yeah. Yeah, let me send him a message real quick, just because with Z's and screws, I've not used screws in a while. So I don't know how that's going to correlate with the new system. So let me ping him.
Yeah, you're using all belted, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I was looking, I was perusing the Volron Discord earlier tonight, and I was just oogling over the serial requests that people have done their little videos,
Mm-hmm.
and watching those things move. I need one. You
do. Everybody needs one.
I think that's what's going to end up becoming. I might do the conversion. Was it you that converted the Folgertech, or was it Eddie?
Oh, that was Eddie.
Okay, yeah. Eddie said he saw my video many moons ago, bought an FT5, and then converted it to a 2-point something. So, I
think he may have made that into a version 1 actually, which still has the moving
Oh, okay.
bed.
But either way, I think I might do it because I like it.
Yeah, and there's not enough version 1s built. There's not print wise. I would almost say that the version 1 can potentially have a better print just because the gantry is entirely solid. But it also works well if you're trying to do like an insulated printer because all the heat stays up at the very top where the gantry is, whereas the version 2, as you move further away from the bed, the temperatures actually get cooler. So a lot of people don't realize that, like, if you're wanting to print higher temps, a version 1's actually better, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I did see Eddie's rotational distance video. I don't remember it, to be honest, because it was late at night when I watched it. So
it's pretty simple if you're doing things like GT2 pulleys. And basically what you do, and I'm just going to look at mine when I'm doing this. So there's 0.9 degree and 1.8 degree steppers. And that's going to be like there's a full steps per rotation setup in there, and that's going to be what that is. So if you got 0.9s, it's going to be 400 steps per rotation. And that's just 0.9 degrees. You divide 360 by 0.9, you end up with 400. And then
so these are 1.8s.
Yeah, so that's going to be 200 full steps per rotation instead of 400.
Or are these? Wait, what are these ones? I forget now. Shoot, these are the better ones. Which one's the better ones?
Matter of opinion and matter of use case. So
I think these are 0.9s, to be honest. Let me look up the thing here real quick. So it's 17 HM 19-200 4S. Yeah, these are 0.9s.
Okay. Yeah, I'm talking to Eddie right now. So.
Okay.
So, and this is Z, right? We're looking up.
Negative. This is X and Y.
Oh, okay. So you're using a GT2 pulley on it then, right?
Yes, these are 20-tooth pulleys.
Okay, that's easy.
But because it's Core XY, that's why the step is so high. Because on a standard Cartesian, it's only 80. But it's 200 on a Core XY.
Interesting. Okay.
I think it has to do with the way that the pulleys go. So again, if you're not familiar with the BLV, so the way that the pulleys are, there's pulleys configured along with the geared pulley on the I should say idlers, I'm sorry. So the idlers are in a certain way on this that make it a longer path. That's why it is a higher step.
See, that's weird to me because the step should be the step no matter what, unless you're somehow gearing it differently on the Core XY. Like my Core XY is the same number of steps regardless of where it's at. because if you move one belt 1 millimeter in one direction, it's going to move 1 millimeter all the way around since it's a closed loop.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going, if I pull up my, 1 second, where's it at?
I mean, you should basically have the exact same settings that I do as far as that goes, so I can copy and paste what I've got. Your rotation distance should be 40. You're doing 16th micro stepping. Full steps for rotation is 400 for a 0.9 degree stepper. And that should cover most of what you need.
Here real quick. Where's the Duet? Are you familiar with Duet?
Not as familiar as I am with some of the others.
Okay, so you see this here. So this is my Duet config. And
Okay.
you can see right here the M92. This sets the steps. And my steps are 200 and 200 for X and Y. Z is 400.
Are you sure
And
you were
then-
using 1/16 microstepping before? Because that will affect it pretty significantly.
Yeah, it's set to the microstepping is set to
16
16.
interpolation. Okay. Yeah, that's it. It's just a very strange number to see.
Yeah, 0.9 is 200 with 20 teeth. 1.8 is 100 with 20 teeth. Going off what Mark is saying in the chat here.
Yeah, I'm reading the same thing.
Hey, Eddie.
I dragged him in. He was
Oh,
looking.
good.
He actually asked the same question because he was interested in the microstepping on that because the numbers just seem weird. But I mean, if it's a 20-tooth GT2 pulley, there's none of that to have to figure out.
Yeah.
So let me give you what to put where here real quick. So this is actually going to go in your like stepper X section.
Yeah.
Get all three of those. Yeah.
So this is just going to be called rotation distance, right?
Yeah, I copied and pasted it into the private chat. It got rid of the lines, but
that's fine. Rotation distance. And that 40 is correct?
the 400, you mean?
Well, no, you have rotation distance as 40.
For a GT2, for a 20-tooth GT2, because it's a 2 millimeter pitch, so a 20-tooth with 2 millimeter pitch ends up being 40 millimeter total rotation distance.
Okay. And then I already have micro stepping in there. Now the full steps rotation, I don't have that. Full.
So yeah, and
rotation.
There's something that moves out of the X and Y stepper section. I'm trying to remember what it is. It may have actually been micro steps that moved. There's also a gear ratio one, but you're not actually using a reduction or anything. So it's just a 1-to-1. You can put it in there if you want to, just for like later if you ever change anything. But
I need to copy and paste this also to Y.
Correct.
And I'm just going to comment out step distance just in case things go sideways.
And let me double check, make sure I'm not missing anything on my side. I mean, Klipper should tell you if you are, but
yeah. And then we just need to figure out what Z is.
Yeah, so Z is the one that I'm dragging Eddie in for.
Okay.
Yeah, I did say Z, Eddie.
And again, those steps are 400 normally.
And Eddie's doing a math check here for me in the background. You were 100% sure those are 20-tooth and not 16-tooth pulleys?
Am I 100% sure?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, now you got me doubting myself here.
Well, just because the 0.005 at 16th stepping would calculate out to be 16-tooth.
Sure then. It's been a minute since I put those in. And getting to them is kind of impossible because they are completely enclosed.
We can find out fairly quickly either way.
I can go to. Let me go to the BOM real quick of the printer.
Okay.
Let me see if I can figure that out real quick.
Well, and what's going to happen is if you end up having more steps than it's calling for, then you're going to move further than it's expecting. But basically, with the rotation distance, you're not going to have to figure out like the steps per millimeter. You're literally just going to change that rotation distance from 40, which is a 20 tooth with a 2 millimeter pitch, down to a 16 tooth with a 2 millimeter pitch, or 32. Yep, 16 tooth, 5 millimeter bore.
They are 16 tooth.
Okay, yeah, then change the rotation distance from 40 to 32.
240 or from 40?
From 40. So right now, rotation distance is 40 on X and Y.
Yes.
Change that to 32.
32. Okay.
2 millimeter pitch on the belts, 16 teeth, 32 total rotation distance. So full steps per rotation should still be the same since it's 0.9 degree steppers.
Okay.
And then 16 micro steps were good there. That should more or less be it now to Z.
Well, and we'll have to do, after we do Z, we'll have to do extruder.
Yeah. Extruders where it gets a little bit more difficult, but Eddie should be able to take your existing step distance and convert that over as well. Let me type that into him real quick. 0.002320.
Yes. I don't know. Did I go out enough decimals for that?
It should be fine to start with. You can calibrate it afterwards.
Okay. I mean, I don't know how like exact that needs to be because, like, honestly, I don't know how you can even measure that exact.
I mean, it gets interesting. So rotation distance on Z should be 40.
Okay.
It's not belt driven, right? It's lead screw.
It's
TR88?
lead screw, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, standard T8 lead screws.
The beauty is he's listening, so he can just respond to me in chat, and then I can relay what he says. And just to be clear, I take all of the credit and none of the responsibility. So.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Okay. So according to the genius powers that be here, a TR 8x8 should have an 8 millimeter rotation distance, which would make sense because it is an 8 millimeter shaft.
Yep.
Okay. All right, Eddie. Now, what about the full steps per rotation? Is that a 1.8 degree or a 0.9 degree stepper, Shane?
They are all 0.9s.
Okay, so that should still be 400.
At least I think so. I'm gonna look at the part number real quick here.
Okay.
Let's see if the things are over it. Yeah, they're the same. Yeah, they're 0.9s.
Okay, cool. Then yeah, those should stay 400 steps per rotation as well.
Do we know if the lead screws are TR by 8s or TR by 2s? I mean, they're 4-start.
If they're BOM, you might put the
T8
BOM again. 8's the most common, I think.
Yeah, they're not single starts. They have the 4. These are T8 by 4s.
Okay. So if they're 8x4s, you're going to need to change the rotation distance from 8 millimeters to 4 millimeters.
An 8 millimeter shaft.
Yeah, but the pitch that's on there, if it was an 8x8, so it's an 8 millimeter shaft and one full rotation is 8 millimeters on an 8x8. It's an 8 millimeter shaft and one full rotation is 4 millimeters on an 8x4. And then likewise, an 8x2 is only 2 millimeters for one full rotation.
Okay, I'm tracking.
Yep.
And we still don't know the full steps yet.
Yeah, it should be 400 if it's a 0.9 stepper.
Oh, okay. That doesn't change. Okay, cool.
Correct.
Eddie's asking, my extruder, I'm using a BMG. old school BMG. Now, does this also need rotation distance and full step rotation for extruder?
Yes.
Okay.
And relaying what Eddie is typing, a TR8x8 has 4 starts and is 8 millimeters. TR8x2 has 1 start and is 2 millimeters. And a TR8x4 has 2 starts and is 4 millimeters.
Ah, okay. And this is using the same 0.9 stepper that everything else is using in here.
Yeah, which if that's the case, you can leave full steps per rotation at 400. Rotation distance is what's going to change here. And then let me see if there's anything else specific for the extruder that I'm forgetting. There probably is. Gear ratio. So you will have gear ratio on that, which... What is the BMG gear ratio? Is it a 5-to-1 off the top of my head? 3-to-1? 1-to-3? I'm looking in chat. Looks like 1-to-3.
I thought it was 1-to-3.
Or 50-to-17?
Where did that number come from, Eddie?
There's probably 17 teeth on the...
It's 3-to-1.
Interesting. Perfect combination of speed and high flow applications. Maybe. Well, see, now Aaron's saying 50-to-17 as well. There's probably 50 teeth on the big BMG part, and there's 17 on the one that goes in the stepper, would be my guess.
Yeah, that's not even mentioned on here.
Three to one's a rounded number. So yeah, I mean, for as far as gear ratio goes, it'll figure itself out if you just put the total number of teeth on the BMG gear and the total number of teeth on the stepper gear. It is 50-to-17.
So gear ratio is going to be 50, like that.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
And then let's see.
So we're just waiting for rotation distance from Eddie.
Exactly, he's calculating that out right now.
Oh, rotation distance. He has it right there. So 22 point, small numbers. 22.67.
That was what he posted a minute ago. He's saying to me it's going to take just a minute. He's going to calculate the exact rotation distance to work with your previous calibrated value.
Okay.
So 22.67,89511 is a good start, but it won't match what you had calibrated. So that's the default, if you will, for the BMG, not what your calibrated was.
Okay. Yeah, and my calibrated steps were 431. Like,
yeah, or and the other way. Let's see. I wrote it down.
This is the one thing. I mean, there's a few things in Klipper I don't like. I don't like this.
So I do like this, and I'll tell you why. Because it is exact math, or as exact as you can possibly get in like layman's terms. So everything that's in this, like steps per rotation, that's set by the stepper. That's never going to change, right? Micro steps, you set what you want. Normally, if you change your steps per millimeter, if you change your micro steps, your steps per millimeter will change according to what that is. So if you were to go from 16 micro steps to 8 micro steps and you're at 0.05, well, then all of a sudden you're going to double that. You're going to go to 0.10. So instead of having to do any of that calculation out, you can literally just tell it, hey, I'm going from a 1.8 to a 0.9, from 200 to 400 steps per rotation, change nothing else, and it figures it out. Same thing with micro steps. It figures that all out in the background. And the rotation
so
distance,
if I wanted to go to 32 micro steps,
you just type in 32, nothing else will change.
Okay, I like that.
And then the rotation distance is the only like iffy variable on any of them, and that's just the extruder. The rest of them should be known values because you're using, TR8x8 lead screws, or you're using GT2, 2mm pitch belts. All that's known values. So with all those known values, it makes it really easy to just throw the values in and then just change what needs to be changed. Yeah, exactly, Mike.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to watch Eddie's video on that, because I'm gonna need to do this on the other printers.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. Do you have a minimum extrude tip? You have a max extrude only distance.
Yeah, I have min and max.
Well,
I mean,
that's
I
just
guess
the
min
minimum
temp
temp.
should be like 170, not 0, right?
But that's not minimum extrude temp. So that's actually the minimum temperature for the thermistor that's
Oh.
connected to it.
So is it just minimum underscore temp?
EU min underscore extrude underscore temp. Paste it in.
Min extrude temp 170. Okay.
Yeah, and then as far as the min and max temp, 0 and 260 should be fine for that. That's just your hot end thermistor, basically.
Yep. This already had the sense resistors that you told me to put in for the other printer I was working on. That already has it in this config. The Klipper config already had it for the Duet.
Yeah, the Duet does have a different sense resistor on it since it's not a silent step stick like model, if you will. So the silent step sticks are, for the most part, generally the same, with the exception of the 5160. But yeah, for the 2660s that the Duet's using, it does have its own sense that you have to put in. And I believe the 0.051 is correct.
Oh, someone was asking. Somebody else was asking before. Can the 2660 do pressure advance?
Pressure advance should be a Klipper thing more than a TMC thing.
Okay, so I thought someone said that they weren't sure if 2660s were capable of it. I didn't know, so
All
I
right.
figured
Well,
you'd be the one to ask.
yeah. More info from Eddie. So I'm going to paste your exact rotation distance for the extruder. And it looks like you're also using a 1.8 stepper, so you'll need to change that to 200 steps per rotation instead of. There you go. Yeah, Eddie just posted it in chat as well.
No, it should be. They're 0.9. Why does he say I have a 1.8 stepper?
Because he calculated out your exact numbers before and basically backtracked to what the steps for the stepper motor itself boil down to. And it
Yeah, but
came
when
out
I
as
search the
1.8.
stepper motor, it says it's a 0.9.
Okay, Eddie. Like I
Yeah,
say, all
when
the
I
credit
did
out of the blade.
what was the name of that one again? Because they're all the same. It's the 17 HM. Yeah, it's a 0.9 degree stepper. Oh, extruder's one. Well, I don't know. I can't see the sticker on that.
So if what Mark said is correct, that matches what Eddie has calculated out.
Okay.
I mean, regardless, the number shouldn't lie. So if he's able to flip it backwards from what the in number is with the micro stepping and everything else, it should be 200.
I'll trust him. He's smarter than I am. He's an engineer.
I mean, smarter than I am in some of this stuff too. I give him as much credit as I can.
And is there anything else in here that I need to change that you see that I'm missing?
Without combing through it with a fine tooth comb,
Well,
probably not initially.
yeah, I just have to. I need to hook up this fan. Oh, so we were talking before you got on the stream. So what I'm going to do is, and tell me if this is dumb. On fan 1, have you used a Duet before?
I have used one, yes, but only with the actual Duet software on there, and only on a test environment.
Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to put a down converter, block down converter, on the output of fan 1 to convert it from 24 down to 12 volts.
Okay.
And it's not going to be PWM because it's either max power or it's off. And it's only when the heater gets up to 50 centigrade.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty typical.
That should be okay.
Yeah, should be fine. And
Okay.
I'm assuming
that's what we had said, but I figured I'd ask someone else just to get.
Yeah. Well, and I'm assuming, if I'm remembering correctly, actually, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't the Duet have control pins on ground just like almost every other board? In which case, you're basically just feeding the fan whatever voltage it is, and then it switches ground.
I believe so, but I'm not 100% sure, to be honest.
Yeah, if that's the case, then you should be fine.
All right, well, let's save and restart and see what happens.
Okay, no error messages.
Home
That's good.
individually, home X. Home Y. Where does your vol run home?
At home's on max.
Okay, because that's what I have it homing on max for Y too. I want to make sure I did that right because again, in Marlin that's not the case. You just invert it and then you can make this min. But and in RepRap as well, you can change that up. But I had to make it max here for that, so I just wanted to be sure.
Yeah, the cool thing with Klipper is it doesn't matter really where you home to. You just have to tell it where that home is in space. So you don't even actually have to home to like the maximum of the bed. Like example, the Vorons use a Z probe behind the bed. So you've obviously got extra travel behind where the bed is whenever you're homing. So you just have
That's
to
wrong.
tell it what that is. What did it do?
Z is definitely moving double of what it should be moving.
And that's on Z?
Yes.
Okay. If it's double what it should be moving, then you need to cut it in half again. Rotation distance.
So change this to 200.
Nope.
Oh,
It's steps per. Rotation distance is the one above it.
change it down to 2.
Unless it's a 1.8.
Yeah, they're 1.8s. We definitely said those. That definitely we know are no. We definitely know these are 0.9s.
Okay. If
On
they're
Z.
0.9s, then yeah, rotation distance you'll have to drop to a 2. Or am I thinking of that backwards, Eddie?
Or 8. No, it should be 8. You have to double the distance to half the.
And now Aaron's also saying it's a 1.8. And Mark's saying it's a 1.8.
Just search them. 17 HM 19-200 4S1 4S1. What is that?
OMC stepper, there you go. Says 0.9 degree right
0.9
there.
degree stepper.
The kit had 3 different sets of motors. Okay, well that doesn't help us any.
Yeah. So these are saying they're 0.9s.
Look at the kit record.
Ooh. It doesn't matter what the kit record is. It matters what the label on the motor says.
Assuming they were labeled correctly, that should be correct.
Press. Just stop. Sign in. I got the one from Sealand.
I've got a coworker with me now, just as a heads up if you hear any baby noises.
Ah, I gotcha.
Yeah, there you go.
So here's the motor kit. It's 0.9 degrees. And then it's got 1.8s and 1.8s. It doesn't say how many of each.
Well, we do know that there's 0.9s on X and Y, and that there's 1.8 on the extruder.
Yeah,
So,
but this right here, even though those say 1 amp, when you Google this number, it says it's a 0.9.
that top one says it's a 1.8. No, first
HS16,
the first
but
text
these
result.
say, but these are HS19s. Mine are HS19s. Saying here, does it?
Step angle 1.8. It says right there.
It says 1.8.
Yeah, look on the data sheet about 5 or 6 down, left side, step angle.
Yeah, 1.8. Okay. All right. Well, I don't know why I'm getting two different things then, because the other one I just looked at says it was a 0.9.
Yeah, I agree. I looked at the same one you did, but China
Okay,
gonna
so
China
that
as the
means
saying goes. So that would mean the rotation distance should be back to 4, and then the full steps per rotation should be 200.
they reset.
And then, theories being what they are, in theory we should be in decent shape.
That did look better. That Z move looked
Yeah.
better. Again, I trust what you guys are saying, but when I Google the part number on these that says 0.9, God, that moves really fast.
You can lower the speed on it if you need to.
Yeah, that initial homing speed was just ludicrous. I fear for how fast the BL Touch can sense it.
Right. Have it crash
So
before it
homing
picks it up.
speed, we're gonna go down to 10 for homing speed.
Yeah, and then you got the bump speed set at 3, so that should be fine. Was the retract distance decent? I didn't get to see that part.
Yeah, that was plenty.
Okay. You can lower that down if it's something that you can lower. So
I don't need to change that on Z1, right? That only
Nope.
have to do that on Z.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one thing that kind of confuses me sometimes, is that sometimes you set things in Z, and then sometimes you need to do it in both Z and Z1.
It's only in
So-
both Z and Z1 if you're doing something with the driver specifically, or if you're doing something with the step distance specifically. All the other distances are calculated out of that. So, I mean, you can't have Z go 10 millimeters and Z1 go 12 millimeters. So it's going to use the same value for both.
Yeah. That's much better. Okay. Make sure that our... Why did these all change? I thought I hid those. Do a G32 real quick. Just want to make sure that works, and then we'll do a G29 and make sure that that is all correct. Next, I can switch to here now. That, there we go.
Feel free to make me smaller if you can.
Like that, there we go. See, this still goes like ludicrous speed. Like, even though I set the homing speed down to 10, it still goes wicked fast. I mean, granted, it does within range. So this was, it probed the points of each other within 0.325. 0.0325, sorry. Because I have my tolerance at 0.05. So see how far over we go this time. Yeah, I just wish this was slower.
So that's actually usually in your probe section of the config, not the bed mesh specific section. So if you pull up the probe where the BL touch info is, it should have a speed in there. That's what you're going to want to drop to 10 as well.
So BL touch, yeah. So speed is 40, but is this is the probing speed?
Yes.
Okay. And oh, that is right on the edge. Oh my goodness, that just made it. We're gonna change that. Let's take that down a couple mil. Let's change that to 335. too close for comfort. Saving close. Let this finish up now.
And if you want it to go a little bit faster, you can drop the sample rate from 3 down to 2.
Yeah, I guess 2 is enough, right?
Yeah, I mean, you really only need to hit it once and then validate that result, if you will. And you can also do a samples tolerance, which if your probing for the second point is outside of your tolerance range from your first point, it will actually do as many additionals as it needs to get within that tolerance.
So my sample tolerance right now is 0.5.
So that means that you can be up to 0.5 millimeter off on your second probe, and it'll just continue with it.
How tight should I make that?
It depends on the plate and everything you're on. I'm currently using 0.01. But if you wanted to start with like 0.05, it's probably a safe number.
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, this is a piece of tool aluminum, so it is flat.
Yeah, it's just the surface that the PEI sheet surface is a little up and down. So if you are right on the edge of something, go ahead.
Save and reset. Okay, that one missed.
Yeah, go ahead and do this. You said save and restart already, so yeah, it should pick back up then.
So let's home all, and then we'll do that all over again.
Yep.
Well, Mom and Dad are here.
Yeah, I think 7 millimeters is more than enough. You might even be able to drop it down to like 5.
Yeah.
So it looks like you got 2 within range there. And that probe section obviously works for more than just a bed mesh. So clearly it's doing the same thing with a like the Z-align, the Z-tilt.
Yeah, you can see it right here.
Yep.
How it's getting all that. It's pretty doggone close. I mean, it's.
Yeah, the only concern that I would have using a BL Touch on a textured plate is that since you do have the possibility of having 2 different levels with that, if it adjusts to one side lower than the other, then you're going to be printing diagonally.
Yes.
Just something to consider.
So Kit was asking, when doing probe sample set, is it better to take an average or take a median of measurements? And then Eddie is saying, do median. Sometimes first probe can be a bit off compared to subsequent probes. I try either 100% use the first probe or use a median so it skips, at least with an inductive. Yeah, so all of my other printers that I have Klipper on are running inductive probes. This is the only one with a physical probe. They're all pretty close. They're within 0.001 of the previous probe. Like, that's how tight this is. That was 0.503 and 0.504. I mean, that's 100 thou, right?
If you're asking me, I have no idea off the top of my head what 100 thou would be off of different things. I worked at a machine shop when I was a little younger, but I worked in the maintenance department, so we really didn't have a whole lot of machining stuff going on. I can tell you when I ran the lathe what a couple thousandths was, but I don't know what it correlates to millimeters with the rest.
So I do wonder though. I think my I'm thinking that my bed is not perfectly parallel.
And that was the concern if you had a high spot you hit on one side and a low spot on the other. And take this with a slight grain of salt. It may be worth checking, but it may be worth pulling off your spring steel sheet and just having it probe what's underneath for the Z tilt, and then putting the sheet back on. But you'd have to do some kind of an offset if you did that, or have a secondary like physical touch probe like the Boron uses to do that.
Yeah. No, I just think that my bed might be a little bit cockeyed. So that's why up here it was fine, but when it got back to here, it went off the bed.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So it's slightly out of square with the gantry, if you will.
Yeah, I think just a smidge. Let's see what that looks like. Whoa. What is up there? That's way different than what it was before.
It is way different than what it was before. But you've also got that secondary probe point for reference on there. It looks to me like the bed is off by 0.1 millimeters left to right, and the Z tilt compensated for that. So it looks like the exact scenario that I was just describing.
Yeah, but it says the variance is a millimeter, 1.6 millimeters.
Well, that's interesting. That's not what the graph shows.
It's independent Z motors, Eddie. Something is off in here.
Can you pull off that spring steel plate and then run the same thing again? Along with
Yes.
a home and a Z tilt?
Yes.
That'll tell you if it's hitting a crater at all.
16.4, 200, 16.4, 200. Okay.
And you do have a Z tilt set up in the config, right?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna make it a little bit tighter.
Okay.
Because right now we are at 0.005.
With a good probe, you should be able to change that to like 0.025 or 0.015 even.
Yeah, let's do 0.025. I did, Aaron. I will run it again to be sure. You want me to do it without the sheet you said this time?
Yeah, give it a shot, just so it's got an actually flat surface to go across instead of any potential ups and downs.
Well, this is a magnetic sheet on here.
Yeah, but since it's a physical BL touch, it doesn't actually put any pressure against that magnetic sheet. That's still going to be flatter than the texture that's on that bed sheet.
Okay.
Not that the bed sheet should be that far off. I just want to see if it correlates or not.
All right, well, we're going to run Z tilt now and let that run.
Curiosity's sake, did you set your probe offset?
Yeah, it's just a number in there right now.
Because that correlates to where the BL touches in relation to the actual hot end.
Oh, yes, that is set. The Z offset is kind of randomly set in there right now.
Okay, yeah, Z offset's not that big a deal at the moment.
Yes, but it is 50 and a short amount. I think it was like 6.
Okay. Yeah, just so long as
Yeah.
Klipper knows where in space the difference is.
So it moved by 0.001 to adjust that.
Try running a bed
So
measure.
our range is, sorry, let me pull the screen here. So my range is 0.0006.
Yeah, that's plenty.
Yeah. So now we're gonna run G29 and see what it says. Yeah, I mean it barely moved.
Yeah, it actually tells you what it does when it does move. So making the following Z adjustments, it moves the Z stepper 0.013434, and then the Z stepper 0.012271.
Yeah, that's pretty good tolerance right there. That's a good distance.
Yeah, not too bad.
That's a foul. That's 6,000th of a millimeter difference. I think for a, $1,000 3D printer, that's pretty good.
For a CNC
this-
hot glue gun machine, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, but obviously, like CNC machines, you're talking even more better tolerance than that. But those are like, $50,000 machines.
More than that in a lot of cases.
Well, yeah.
The machine shop I actually worked in, they used Hydromat precision transfer machines to make different things. Actually, one of the things that they made at the shop that I worked in was high pressure, like water sprayers. So the actual nozzles for why can't I think of the name of it? Pressure washer. There you go. They made the nozzles for pressure washers, and they would use bar stock, and these precision transfer machines would take a piece of bar stock and cut it off, and then machine different parts of it, drill holes through it. It's pretty crazy. But those machines are like in the range of $2 to $3 million, not including the actual tool heads.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. They also make almost all of the blow-off valves for Black & Decker for their air compressors. So if you have a Black & Decker air compressor or one of their brands, Husky and some of the others, if you look at the pressure relief valve that's on there, it should say CDI valve on it.
Oh, nice. That's interesting.
Yeah. So you'll see CDI valve, St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh, I hear the little one.
Yeah, he just busted in the door screaming.
You have just one?
Yeah, for now.
Yeah, I hear you, Eddie. But I think it was left to right was that, but we'll see here what the picture shows. But you could be right because that is the one disadvantage of the two. Yeah. But it's saying, so this is saying, where's 0, 0 at? Yeah, so it's saying the front is higher than the back. That probably happened when I pushed it down. So if I push here, see, this is where I wish a level would actually help out. But obviously it won't.
Nope, not at all.
So that's my problem is that because I put a bigger bed on here, I can't do that.
Well, can't is always a relative term.
Well, there's no space for it.
Gotcha.
I don't have space in the back of the bed to put a third lead screw on.
Gotcha. So you have some sort of adjustment on it, I guess?
Yeah, I just twist it.
Gotcha. So
it's printed parts. I mean,
the good old manual mechanics.
Yeah, I mean, I just gave it a little tick right there. So we're gonna run. I'm gonna run G32 again, and then I'll run the other. Then I'll run the G29 again. Does BLV MGN have a way to adjust tilt front back with a screw or something? Eddie, that would be again a third Z screw.
Well, I think the reason Eddie asked is when he designed the 1.8, he actually had a front manually adjusted screw that would allow you to do that.
Oh, interesting. Oh, Mike, you're right. I honestly never thought about that. So Mike was saying, make my 3-point, instead of being left, right, and back center, do
Two
left,
one right.
left front, and one on the right. I would just need to get another piece of 20. I need to get, one more piece of 2040 and another motor, lead screw, coupler, and a linear rail. But that's not a now problem. That's a later problem. Yes, Stephen, I decided to put Klipper on here so it would be easier to manage with all my other printers.
Because Klipper is awesome.
All right, now we're gonna run G29 and see how this turns out.
Did you do another Z tilt on that one before?
It just finished.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
I didn't
it
see
was
there.
within 0.00125.
Nice.
Yeah, so I could easily make that 0.001.
Well, 0015.
Yeah, right now it's 0.02. I could do 0.01.
Yeah.
Again,
I
just
thought
to
you
kind of
were making
squeeze
zero.
that tolerance a little more. I don't want to make it like so tight that it has to go 8 times to get it. Like,
Right.
and again, this tolerance right here, that difference is not even noticeable by this machine because it doesn't have that high of a resolution.
Right.
Because again, we're talking about DIY 3D printers. We're not talking about CNC machines.
Hey, DIY 3D printers get pretty impressive. All things
They
considered.
do, but again, we're
Right.
talking about $1,000 machine versus what you were saying, $1 million machine.
Yeah, not quite as impressive in that regards,
Yeah.
but
It is impressive what you can do with $1,000 though. I can say that. Because you saw the kit. So this was the original kit that I bought. So it was $498 plus $130 shipping. I think that's what it was when I bought it originally. And it came with the BMG has been replaced because that did not work out. I put a Volcano on instead of a V6. It does have high wind rails. The bed sucked, so I replaced the bed. I did have an SKR 1.3 in it, but I went with the Duet. So I have made a fair bit of changes to it since then.
Yeah.
But it is a very solid kit. I mean, anyone that's looking to buy a BLV, this is definitely a good starting kit. Then they have this higher kit here for $791 where you can select your Z heights. You can go all the way up to 665. And that's just over 1,000 with shipping. But this comes with comes with all the panels. It comes with Meanwhile, genuine E3D, genuine Bondtech. The bed still sucks, and it comes with a genuine Duet.
if it were me, honestly, I'd almost just stick with the cheaper kit. I mean, a V6 is a V6, and truth be told, some of the TL clones and others are actually better than E3D's genuine stuff.
Yeah.
And as far as extruder goes, whether or not you're aware, I'm the Galileo guy on the Voron side, so I would end up putting
Okay.
the variant on there.
Okay, that's finished. We're still high in the front a little bit.
0.9. That's, I mean, you're 0.6 better.
0.89. Yeah, getting closer. Just gonna run that again. So you see, Eddie's the one that designed the 1.8.
That is correct.
That's cool. I didn't know that. But yeah, I definitely think that next 2022 is going to be the Volron year for me, because I think I'm going to convert the FT5, and I'm going to convert the Hypercube to a Legacy, and I might do a switch wire with something. I don't know yet. I might just do a custom switch wire. Or maybe I could do Optimus Prime as a switch wire, because I have all the parts for Optimus, but I haven't built it yet. Optimus is just going to be basically. Are you familiar with many of my builds that I've been doing?
I've looked over 3 or 4 of them.
So the green one, Megatron, is basically a 2020 bear that Aaron and I designed, mostly Aaron. He's a lot better with the designing of parts than I am. But I gave him the challenge of, hey, let's design a 3D printer in 1 week, and we did, and that became Megatron. So and then we created Ultra Magnus. Now Optimus is going to be a larger 2020 bear, basically, And it's going to, I think that's what I'm going to put the Hemera on that Brandon got me, just to play with that. But that might be a fun switch wire. The legacy, that's cool. Have you you've gotten your serial for your 1.8, right, Aaron? You serialized. Very cool. Yeah, but I think that's going to be the next challenge for myself, is after building all these DIY ones, to do something that's a tried and true design. I'm not saying the BLV is not tried and true, but the overall ones definitely are. Okay, let's see here. Well, we're getting much closer. 0.3. That's not too shabby. I think I can deal with that for now. Here got me distracted, introduced to home servers. Haven't as much to be pretty lately. Yeah, we've been talking about Ryan. Actually, we were helping him get a his little TrueNAS set up. I run 2 TrueNAS servers at home.
All right, sorry. You may still have some background noise. Wife came in to get a couple batteries changed in one of the kids' toys.
Oh yeah, I have actually one of my favorite prints. My kids love it too because it's easy. Is this battery organizer
Nice.
for all the AA and AAAs? Because you know all kids' toys take AAs, AAAs. The big ones take C's and D's, but for the most part, so all my kids can just come in here to the office, grab what they need, and get out.
Yeah, I'll probably have to do one of those at some point. I've got like 8,000 Amazon batteries.
Yeah, it's only I think I got it. I get off of Cults or My Mini Factory. It was like $2. Like it was cheap. It was real cheap. So I thought that was a good piece. It prints in 2 parts for the main body, and then the little battery icons are 2 little prints. But it works out really well for AAs, AAAs.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to do something at some point. He's only 18 months old right now, so he's not changing his own batteries, but at some point in the near future.
Yeah, mine aren't doing it themselves, but I can at least yell at them, hey, go get a screwdriver and batteries out of my office, and they can come in and get it. Because I have right here on my wire rack, I had bought from, I think it was from Harbor Freight. They have those great big magnetic, basic bolt-on magnets. There's one over here too. I just have all my tools for 3D printers on each side, just on those magnets. And it works out really well that I have a full set on each side, depending on which I'm working on. Now, granted, I can touch both racks, so I don't need to have it divided, but I do. That way I have like tweezers, screwdrivers, part removal tool here, same thing over here. It just makes life easier.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, well, I think the last thing I need to do, because I'm okay with that right now. I might do Z-tilt and maybe bring the back up a skosh more, but I'm pretty happy with a 0.3 variance. That's what I have bed leveling for, so it can definitely take care of that difference. And I'm printing at 0.3 millimeter layer heights anyways, because this is a 0.6 millimeter nozzle. So I think the only thing I need to do is change over that fan, which I'm not going to do live because I'll be behind the printer and I'm not spinning this thing around to do that. But I think so that wraps up the basic, I guess, overall config of Klipper on the MGN Cube, which I've christened as Bumblebee. Got the logos here on the side. Never figured out how to get the logo on the screen, but not a big deal. Oh, and this is running the new part that I designed on Saturday night. If you guys tuned in then, I do have the new backer piece behind the screen. It goes all the way down to the bottom, keeps all the cabling nice and enclosed behind the screen, because the original one was only this tall. It was only half height, so it only went down to there. But the new one, yeah, the new one goes all the way down here in the back, so it hides everything away. But yeah, I think that was pretty cool. Thank you, Jared and Eddie, for offering the mathematical help. But what I'm gonna have to do now is I'm gonna have to go through my other machines and kind of convert some of these settings over to those and whatnot. So Mike, I will put a link to my GitHub down below, and that will have links for all of my Klipper configs are going to be on there. So if you want to do Ultra Magnus, Megatron, or Bumblebee, you can download any of those Klipper configs, and everything will be in there. So it's going to be just the printer.config. The only difference for Bumblebee over any other printers is I had to edit in Moonraker to get the PanelDue working. Have you done the Klipper screen, Jared?
Yes, I have.
Is it hard to set up?
It is not hard to set up. I'm actually using a 4.3-inch WaveShare DSi display. I don't think you can do anything with the PanelDue display. You have to actually have one that connects to the Raspberry Pi. But no, it's not hard to set up at all. Actually, it's as easy as doing a git pull and then running an install script.
Wait, you said it has to hook up to the Raspberry Pi to work?
Yes, because it does run off of the Raspberry Pi itself. It runs as a like an X terminal screen, basically.
Okay, so the PanelDue does run off the Raspberry Pi. I did Nero's video. I talked to Nero last night. Nero is the one that helped me get Klipper on here.
Right.
And I found his video, which I linked down below, on doing the PanelDue. So this is hooked up to the Raspberry Pi, but my other two machines are not.
Well, and even with that one hooked up to the Pi, it's still running as basically an independent serial connection in that's then just sending commands. So it's still basically a standalone device that's just sending information over. As far as the PanelDue itself goes, I'm not aware of any way that you can put anything on there other than the PanelDue firmware. I'd love to be wrong on that, but I don't think there is. Because it still connects to the Pi serial, not through like HDMI or DisplayPort or anything.
Okay, well, I'll have to look that up. And again, that's a totally different thing, different night. But I'll have to do some research on the Klipper screen and see if I want to go that route for the other machines.
Yeah, and you can actually, if you need to do like just a test with it, you don't need the touchscreen to be working to see what it would look like. You just have to have a display hooked up. So if you've got HDMI output on it, you can hook it up to a normal monitor, install it, and it'll run itself. You just won't be able to do like anything remotely on it if you don't have the touchscreen, but you can at least see what it looks like and how it runs.
Okay. And yeah, because I don't know, like, because I have the mini FiSec RGB screen on Ultra Magnus, and Megatron's just running the LDO 2004 screen.
Yeah, so you would actually want a TFT screen. The one that I'm running, like I say, it's from WaveShare. Big Tree Tech actually has a 5-inch version of it. It's called the Pi TFT 50. The only downside is they're not inexpensive to speak of, but they connect. There's only a few displays that actually connect to the DSi port on the Pi itself, meaning you have full GPIO control and you have like no additional power or anything required. It's just a ribbon cable to run it, so you don't have to worry about HDMI and USB-C for power or anything else crazy.
Maybe if you get a minute, if you send me a link to that on Discord, I'd like to check it out.
Yeah, I can do that.
Because I'm not sure that I want to do different screens on those machines right now, because I like what they have. But I think it'd be worth at least reading about and learning a bit about it. So.
Yeah, and I can actually send you a picture of mine on my display right now.
Okay, yeah, if you wouldn't mind doing that. But I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night there. I think that was a good stream. We're just over 2 hours, but we got, again, Klipper on here and working. I've got all the lights if I need them on. They all work really well, so I think that is pretty good for tonight. So again, thank you for hanging out, Jared. There'll be more to come. I've got at least 2 more machines that I think I want to put Klipper on, but I need to wait for a Raspberry Pi to come in for the Bear. And I have a Pi Zero that I would put on Master Crane. If you want to do a fun config, man, we can do a cantilever config on Master Crane. That was the little $130 3D printer that I designed when I did the competition this last summer. That's a fun little machine.
Sounds like a terrible idea. I love it.
Oh, it's great. It's absolutely great. We had what, 4 or 5 people end up participating in it. Aaron actually is the one that won with Grapple, was what he called his machine. It was basically a super duper cheap Prusa Mini, using like 1-inch square tubing from Home Depot and a bunch of 3D printed parts. So yeah, it was pretty fun. I think we might try and do it, not this summer, maybe next summer. We'll try to do something again with a design competition. I think it was good fun. A lot of people enjoyed it, at least. All right, I am going to call it there for the night. Again, Jared, thank you for hanging out. Eddie, thank you for helping out. I will be sure to hit you guys up in Discord if I have any questions or problems, as you are the go-to folks for this right now. Again, if anybody wants to come and hang out, learn how to do Klipper, or interact with us on your builds or anything you're doing, there's a link to Discord down below. Hop over there, hang out with us, and show us what you're working on, or if you need any help. A lot of people on there that are willing to help out with whatever issues that you have. If you want to help me build crazy machines, there's some links down below for donations and whatnot. If I appreciate everything I get. As you can see, I put everything I get back into building these crazy things, and I spend a whole lot of time working on them. So thank you, everybody, for doing what you do. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. See ya.